proven technique called three-point estimate.
The whole concept behind three-point estimating is to actually improve our accuracy of that. And what we do is we look at a particular work item and we look at it from three standpoints. One is the optimistic estimate, means everything being perfect, this is as fast as we can do it. And we look at the most likely estimate, all things being equal, the way that we work and all that sort of stuff, this is the most likely time it's going to take for us to actually do this particular task. And then the pessimistic one is basically looking at, well, stuff happens, we're going to get delayed. It's looking at the worst scenario of that. So the three-point estimating basically is the most likely, right, which is the average of that. The optimistic, yeah. And the pessimistic, I'm not too sure we can get there. So we took those three items and we actually apply them through a standard average. And basically the formula is simply this. We take optimistic plus the most likely plus pessimistic and divide it by 3 and come up with a value. So whatever our estimates are, that's how we do the formula. Now, in order to prove that, there was the creation of what's called the Program Evaluation Review Technique. PERT is a weighted average. And what it does is takes the same thing, the optimistic, the most likely, and the pessimistic, but does it a little bit differently. It takes optimistic plus 4 times the most likely plus pessimistic and divide it by 6. Now, to see how this actually is different, what I would like you to do is take out your calculators, use 15 as the optimistic, use 90 as the most likely, and use 110 as the pessimistic. Run it through the standard average. Take the optimistic plus most likely plus pessimistic, divide it by 3. See what value you actually get. Use the Program Evaluation Review Technique. Take optimistic plus most likely times 4 plus pessimistic and divide it by 6 and see what answer you actually get. I'll give you a moment or two to actually do that. So if we take the standard average, we take the optimistic of 15, we take the most likely of 90, and we add the pessimistic 110 and divide it by 3, we should get an answer of around 71.7. Using the Program Review Evaluation Technique, we take the optimistic of 15, we add the 90 times 4, and then we add the pessimistic, which was 110, and divide it by 6. We should end up with 80.8. Now you can see that's a significant amount of difference between those two. It's almost 9 points. Now if that was days, that would be 9 days. If it was hours, it would be 9 hours. If it was months, it would be 9 months. If years, it would be 9 years. You can see the significant difference between those two things. So the one thing that the standard average does not take into consideration, where the Program of Evaluation Review Technique does, is this thing called risk. We'll talk about risk in future modules, but that's the difference between the two. So we as project management like to use, and the best practices say to use the Program Evaluation Review Technique when you're doing a 3-point estimate. Now, one thing we have to be cognizant of as we look at estimates is that just be aware that estimates actually improve over time. So when we start a project, we could possibly have a degree of error of 100%, 50% lower. Our cost could be actually 50% lower than what we guess, or 50% higher. So if we take $1 million, we're talking about $1.5 million or 500,000. So the range is now 500,000 to $1.5 million. That's a significant amount of error. But that's the reality of what happens, because our guesses are simply that, guesses. So be cognizant of that and educate people, stakeholders, that that's a kind of error that can actually happen. And then as we move closer, we start to do more things, our estimates get quite good as we move forward down to a range where it could be plus or minus 10%. And that's just to give you some idea of how estimates will change over time. Now, of course, the question is why? The question is, why does this happen? Well, in a sense, the more we do, the more we know, the more we can adjust. The more we adjust and make corrective actions, the better our estimates become. So simply stated is that as we start to really get an appreciation for what our project is all about, we get better at doing estimates. Plus, we can go back on our previous estimates and evaluate that estimate to see how close we were, and we can make adjustments as we go forward. So that's the reasons why estimates improve over time.